Live from the news station, this is Today in Florida, Saturday edition.
Right now on this Saturday edition of Today in Florida.
Here comes the tying run. And here comes the winning run.
2 down and 1 to go. The Florida Marlins moving closer to clinching the series.
I'm traumatized because this is the first time that something like this happened to me.
Then a South Florida teen speaking out after a bus driver is accused of making a lewd move. A magician in critical condition this morning after being mauled by a vicious animal. And danger on duty for several firefighters battling a fierce blaze. Good morning, South Florida. I'm Richard Lemus. Diana Diaz has a day off. We're going to get to all that in just a minute, right after a first look at the forecast. Meteorologist Kate Wenzel standing by live with the details. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning, Richard. Yeah, no problems for us here in South Florida. Yesterday turned out to be a great day. Plenty of sunshine. Good news for the baseball game yesterday. And I think today, just the same, if you are headed out to Pro Player, 1 o'clock, the game time. Right now, we just have some mid and high level clouds over South Florida, but no rain right now, all dry. And I think it will be a fairly steamy day with all that sunshine. We might see highs close to 90 degrees. And of course, we are also watching Tropical Storm Larry in the Bay of Campeche, really not moving very fast, but right now it is a tropical storm, and it is expected to continue to drift off to the south and to the southwest. So the good news there is it will have no effect on our weather this weekend here in South Florida, just something to watch. Also watching Hurricane Kate, now a major hurricane way out in the Atlantic, continuing to move off to the west, but we do expect it to take more of a turn to the north in time. I'll have more on the tropics and your South Florida forecast in about 10 minutes.
Now on to the big story of the morning, your Florida Marlins. The Fish now taking 2 games from San Francisco and creating a wave of Marlins mania throughout South Florida. 7's Steve Shapiro has the highlights of the Marlins' big win against the San Francisco Giants.
To get it going, Marlins fan David Cassidy sings the national anthem. Over 61,000 approve. 5th largest crowd in Marlins history, and they all wait 4.5 hours to the conclusion. After the Giants take the lead in the top of the 11th inning, the Marlins load them up for Pudge Rodriguez in the bottom of the inning.
It was a situation with the bases loaded right there, and I knew that I have the game in my hands right there.
Base hit to right. Here comes the tying run. And here comes the winning run.
Pudge Rodriguez, the hero of the game, with a home run in the first inning. Pudge drives in all 4 Marlins runs.
Well, I've been in big league for 12 years, so I do a lot of good things in my 12 years in baseball. But this is very sad, this is playoff, and believe it or not, it's one of my best games in my career.
And Pudge and the Marlins are 1 win away from moving on in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're confident. We want to close it out tomorrow. We don't want to get on that flight to San Francisco, so Dontrell's fired up, and he's going to get them tomorrow.
21-year-old Dontrell Willis, the starting pitcher for the Marlins in Game 4. He'll be opposed by Jason Schmidt. Schmidt shut out the Marlins in Game 1, 2-0. You can watch the game right here on Channel 7 at 1 o'clock. At Pro Player Stadium, I'm Steve Shapiro for Today in Florida, the Saturday edition.
And of course, today could be the final showdown between the Marlins and the Giants. And once again, you can catch all the action right here on Channel 7. First pitch, 1 o'clock this afternoon. Also making news this morning, audience members horrified when a magic trick goes terribly wrong. A tiger attacking magician Roy Horn of the duo Siegfried and Roy during a performance late last night. The magicians were performing at the Mirage Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas when a witness says the tiger lunged at Horn. Horn did try to fight the tiger off with his microphone, but that animal managed to drag him off stage.
When we were sitting there in the audience, we honestly thought that it was part of the show. We didn't know what was going on. And even sitting there 5-10 minutes afterwards, we still thought it was part of the show.
Horn suffered serious injuries to the left side of his neck. He's now out of surgery and is listed in stable condition. The leader of the rock band Hell on Earth says nothing will stop them from having a live suicide during a webcast concert tonight. Hell on Earth leader Billy Tortolo going against the advice of his lawyer, a St. Petersburg city band, and threats of criminal charges by the Attorney General. The person threatening to kill himself has said he is dying and wants to promote his right to die views. Tortolo could face up to 15 years in prison for assisting in this suicide. Inside Iraq this morning, 1 U.S. soldier is killed, another wounded in a violent attack. The soldier struck by small arms fire and rocket grenades in southeast Baghdad. 88 U.S. soldiers have been killed since President Bush declared major combat was over on May 1st. And now to a story you'll see on just one station. The victim of a frightening attack aboard a Miami-Dade County bus speaking out. The incident landing a bus driver in jail and leaving one little girl traumatized. 7's Brian Andrews has this exclusive.
I'm traumatized because this was the first time that something like this happened to me.
This 13-year-old girl says she was groped by Miami-Dade transit bus driver Ezekiel Proctor.
I trusted him.
The teen and her 2 sisters were on their way home from the movies in South Miami Wednesday. She claims Ezekiel Proctor was standing at the Metro Rail station when he approached them offering free bus passes and said she'd have to go with him to his bus if she wanted them.
Sat down, gave them to me, then stood back up and asked for a hug. And I said, I don't know you. And he forced my body towards him and touched my lower behind. And I pushed away from him and ran out the bus for help.
South Miami police arrested Ezekiel Proctor on his bus a few blocks away from the station after the girl brought the incident to their attention.
I'm very outraged because it shouldn't happen to a little girl like that. But as old as he looked, he should have known better than to even try something like that. She's traumatized about this. She's even afraid to even, she's not doing the thing that she used to do. Ever since then, and that just happened a few days ago, she's different. And the reason why we're talking to you all today, because we don't want it to happen to anybody else's kids.
I'm not the same.
You've been very depressed, I take it.
Yes.
So a little girl who came down here to South Miami with her sisters to watch a movie at Shops at Sunset Place behind me and then head home on the bus is traumatized by this incident. The accused is still behind bars at the Miami-Dade County Jail. He has yet to post his $50,000 bond. In South Miami, Brian Andrews, 7 News for the Saturday edition of Today in Florida.
Time now 7 minutes after the hour, and investigators are trying to figure out how a woman got caught in an opening drawbridge, causing her to fall to her death. Police say the woman was caught on the Sunrise Boulevard Bridge while it was going up Thursday night. She fell to her death on the pavement along the Intracoastal Waterway. Officials say she probably didn't have enough time to get off that bridge, but the Florida Department of Transportation has another possible explanation.
The individual must have tripped or fallen somehow behind the wall, because there is a barrier wall that separates the vehicular and the pedestrian traffic in this particular area. The wall is approximately 2'6", 2'8" tall.
Police are yet to identify the woman, but they say she was between 50 and 60 years old. Also this morning, an emotional plea from a devastated father hoping to find out who murdered his daughter. Alan Nelson passing out flyers on Miami Beach, the last place his daughter, 19-year-old Jennifer, was seen alive. The way his daughter's body was found only adding to this father's anguish. Jennifer's partially naked body was discovered Tuesday near Jackson Memorial Hospital.
And I hope people out there see me, and my face is burned in your memories of helping me find the man that has done this and put this man into justice.
If you have any information about this case, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers. The number is right there on your screen, 305-471-TIPS. And a South Florida toddler is recovering after nearly drowning in a bucket of water. 1-year-old playing at a home in Miami Lakes yesterday. His mother says he somehow crawled into a container full of rainwater and she found him unconscious and called 911. Rescue crews rushed the young victim to the hospital. He's now listed in stable condition, and police say this was all just a terrible accident. Police are hoping this surveillance video will help them find 3 brazen bandits. Cameras rolling as the men robbed a 7-Eleven store along North State Road in Plantation. Authorities believe one of the men in the video is 22-year-old Curtis Rickard, wanted in connection to similar robberies in both Miami-Dade and Broward counties. Now, if you have any information about this case, you're urged to call the Broward Crime Stoppers at 954-471 493 tips. And the heat continues to rise at the Broward Elections Office. Supervisor Miriam Oliphant giving her chief financial officer a choice: resign or be fired. This over comments he made to the media about her possible legal action against the county. Oliphant refusing to choose between two budget offers made by commissioners, saying it's just not enough money. Commissioners offered close to $9 million for next year's elections, but Oliphant wants $5 million more.
They must stop hiding behind the funding gains and set up the appropriate dollars necessary to run this office.
Commissioners also rejected Oliphant's request for a $1 million advance until her budget is decided. The Marlins scoring a big victory, player and fans going wild at the Pro. Among the Marlins' best cheerleaders, those married to the boys of summer, packing the stadium to root on their hubbies. They are without a doubt some of the most nervous and excited Fish fans out there, and win, lose, or draw, they always stand by their man. 7's Diana Diaz has more on this story.
One more. This is our first time to make it to postseason, and I'm more nervous than he is. He just looks at it like a regular season game.
When he takes to the mound, all eyes are on pitcher Mark Redmond. But it's this set of baby blues that has seen it all. The ups and the downs that have led the Fish to this.
Base hit to right. Here comes the tying run. And here comes the winning run.
She is one of the Marlins' better halves, a member of a select group that drives the team from behind the scenes, the Marlins' wives.
He went to his closet and he said, "Where's my white shirt?" It's like, "I didn't touch it, I promise. I didn't shrink it, I didn't hide it." And so he finally found it. He's like, "I've been doing good with wearing this shirt on the day that I pitched."
And if you think superstition is all they're dealing with these days, think again.
It's very nerve-wracking. It's very nerve-wracking, yeah, because you want to see them do well. It's fun in the end when they won and it's all over with, but in the process it's very nerve-wracking for all of us, for his whole family.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Yes! Woo! Juan's got it! Yes! Got it! No!
I feel my job is just to have open arms for him, and whether it's a good day or a bad day, he knows he can come home and we don't have to talk about it, and he is loved equally the same from when he left the house that morning.
We're their biggest fans, for number one, and we are there to support them. You know, win or lose, we're behind them. It doesn't matter.
And it's that unconditional love and support that has no doubt helped the Marlins reel in their best season in years.
It's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. They have worked so hard, and we've seen them work that hard to get to where they are. And I am so happy that they are here. And I know they can take it all, so we're just rooting for them.
And there were more than 60,000 fans here last night, but even when there was hardly anyone in the stands, those women were there. They do not know the word bandwagon, and you, South Florida, should take their lead. Reporting at the Pro, Diana Diaz, Today in Florida, Saturday edition.
Three firefighters in Alabama recovering from injuries this morning after a fire breaks out in downtown Birmingham. Officials battling the early morning blaze in one of the city's historic buildings. Hosing down the flames, the roof exploded, causing part of the brick wall to collapse on them. Their injuries were not life-threatening, and no word on what sparked the fire. To Texas now, a Dallas business complex damaged after flames break out there. Fire started as workers were tarring the roof of the one-story building. All inside were evacuated just before part of the roof collapsed. Fire officials saying the building was completely destroyed. No injuries were reported. And in Massachusetts, this traffic jam could make any beer lover cry. A tractor trailer overturning on the highway Thursday, spilling barley and hops all across the highway, stopping traffic for hours while cleanup crews rushed to clean up that mess. The driver, by the way, was not injured. All right, and if you think you're slouching and it's not a problem, experts say think again. 7's Marilyn Mitzel has much more in Doc Talk.
He was known as the Hunchback of Notre Dame. The medical term is kyphosis.
Kyphosis means a lateral curvature of the spine.
Orthopedic surgeons say the spinal deformity can develop during childhood.
I do recall that people would say you're slouching, try to stand up straight, and I just couldn't.
While many kids outgrow it, Andrew got worse with age.
Sometimes at the end of the day, I feel like my back was kind of breaking in two pieces.
Typically, people have about 35 degrees of rounding of their upper back, and he has 83 degrees, which is 50 degrees more than normal.
Conservative treatments like physical therapy and back braces may alleviate the problem. Andrew needed extensive surgery.
He has 2 rods and he's got 22 screws fixing his spine, and allows for us to correct these deformities with great force. So your alignment looks really good.
Andrew says it is a tough recovery.
Well, I wouldn't want to sugarcoat it.
But physical therapy and exercise has Andrew standing tall.
I grew a couple of inches from the straightening of the back. Keep the eye on the prize. The final outcome of all this is it's well worth it.
If left untreated, kyphosis can lead to breathing difficulties. I'm Marilyn Mitzel. For serious health problems, see your physician. If we can guide you, call 305-DOC-TALK or go to WSVN.com and click on medical.
Now, time for 7 weather with meteorologist Kate Wenzel.
And good Saturday morning to you. Just like we saw lots of sunshine yesterday, I think the same will hold true today. Right now, seeing some mid and upper level cloudiness stretching across South Florida, but that is about it. We do have some coastal moisture, and some of these might graze the coastline early this morning, but after those isolated showers, we should stay mainly dry for the remainder of the day, with the exception of some inland storms. But other than that, shaping up to be pretty good. On the water vapor loop, you can see we do have dry air to the north associated with a cold front that has pushed through the entire southeastern United States, really dropping temperatures down behind that front. And we do have some moisture in the mid and upper levels across South Florida. Also watching Tropical Storm Larry, still meandering in the Bay of Campeche, but bringing some heavy winds and rains to the folks along the Mexican coastline. But it won't affect our weather at all here in South Florida, so that is, of course, some good news, just something to watch for you. Temperatures, a nice mild 78 for Miami, 71 Tampa, but notice how much cooler in portions of the southeast United States, 53 for Charleston, and Charlotte right now only a chilly 48 degrees. Elsewhere in the nation, very chilly as we head to portions of the upper Midwest, 45 degrees for Chicago and 44 for the Twin Cities, so certainly feeling like fall in that part of the United States. Let's take a look now at the satellite picture, and we continue to watch Hurricane Kate, now a major hurricane moving to the west in the Atlantic, and it is expected to continue off to the west for today and then make a turn to the north, which is good news. It should miss Bermuda and totally miss the United States, but just something that we will continue to watch for you. And also watching Tropical Storm Larry meandering in the Bay of Campeche. Again, not really affecting our weather here in South Florida, so that is, of course, also some good news. Your South Florida forecast for today shaping up like this. We will see mostly sunny skies, isolated showers and storms with a high of 90 degrees, so a warm one. And this evening, partly cloudy with isolated showers. Overnight low 76 degrees. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds, just a few storms, northeast winds, high of 88 degrees. And on the waters, small craft should exercise caution in the Gulf. Wind down the northeast at 10 to 15, seas 2 to 4 feet, but higher in the Gulf Stream. Bays a moderate chop, and your extended forecast not looking too bad for Sunday. Should be another nice day. Monday and Tuesday, maybe a little better chance of some showers and storms. Have a great morning, and Channel 7 will be back right after this.
Time for 7 Sports with Mike DePasquale.
Good morning, everyone. If you needed a reason to believe, simply believe that the Marlins are for real, you should have been at the Pro yesterday as they reeled in the mighty Giants in Game 3. This team doesn't plan on ending their October magic carpet ride anytime soon. Not a rock concert, but 61,000 plus rock the Pro. Bottom of the first, Luis Castillo on second. Pudge Rodriguez, and bam, unloads on Kurt Reeder, and that's over the left field wall, and all of a sudden it's 2-0 Fish. Here we go with Barry Bonds, grounded out in the first. Third inning, turns on Mark Redmond's pitch. Will it be his first homer of the postseason? Juan Pierre says, no problem. To the sixth, still 2-0 Fish, but the bases are full of Giants. Jose Cruz hits it to a fielder's choice off of Red. Bonds will score, and it's 2-1. Next batter, pinch hitter Pedro Feliz, singles to left. Edgardo Alfonso scores, tying things up at 2. Top of the seventh, one on for Rich Aurelia, leaning and driving up for Chad Fox. Mr. Marlin Jeff Conine to the wall. He robs Aurelia of a home run. This goes to extra innings. Top of the 11th, still 2-all. Brayton Looper in, 2-out for Alfonso. Singles, and that scores a relay, and it's 3-2. Bottom of the 11th, 2 outs. Bases full of fish for Pudge, and he comes through again. The single scores 2. Pudge drives in all 4 runs as the Fish win a thriller 4-3, taking the series 2-1. Can you believe it?
We win a lot of games coming from behind, and you know that's good to you know, to see that, you know, all year, and I tell you, you know, we're a good team. We're a good team, and whoever play against us, they have to play hard into the last out.
It's the best game I've ever been associated with. I'm happy for the fans. Probably had people here that never seen us play all year, and for them to see us win like that is tremendous.
We got to come out tomorrow and hopefully shut the door. We don't want to make another cross-country flight.
Now, this team is riding high, and in today's game for the D train, Dontrell Willis will be looking to be more like a freight train. Willis isn't about to be intimidated by Bonds and company.
Still got to catch the ball and hit the ball and do the little things right. That's like a normal game, you know. Just more people will be watching, you know. So hopefully I can just go out there and just throw strikes.
So the table is set to seal the deal today. A crowd of over 60,000 expected to catch a heavy dose of Marlins fever. If you're not going to the game, you can catch it right here on Channel 7 at 1 o'clock. To Wrigley, Sammy Sosa and the Cubbies ready for the Braves. The series tied at 1. Bottom of the first, Simon says, give us 2 runs. The Cubs Randall Simon with a 2-run single off of Greg Maddux. Cubs tack on 1 more to win it 3-1, taking a 2-1 series lead. All right, we move on here to the Canes, and with the Knowles up next Saturday in Tallahassee, this could be the worst news UM could receive right now. Running back Frank Gore is not only out for the game, but his season is over. Now, Gore tore his ACL in his left knee in the first quarter on this 12-yard pickup in Thursday night's win over West Virginia. Gore is the team's leading receiver, undergoes surgery after the swelling goes down. Gore tore an ACL in his right knee 2 years ago, causing him to miss all of last season. More bad news for Dolphins offensive tackle Mark Dixon. He'll miss his 4th straight game as the Finns are set to face the Giants Sunday at the Meadowlands. Dixon underwent ankle surgery. His status will be week to week. And that will do it for sports on this Saturday morning. Have a great day, everybody.
And it will also do it for this half hour of Today in Florida. I'm Richard Lemus. Headline News is next. Then we'll have much more Today in Florida at the top of the hour. We'll see you then.
7 News, brought to you in part by Bears. For better lifestyle, where? Bears.
As the California recall race winds down, allegations against the Republican frontrunner heats up.
The show might have to go on for the Lakers minus a major player.
And there's encouraging news for Americans looking for work. Hey, glad you're with us. This is Headline News Tonight. I'm Michael Lanos.
And I'm Erica Hill, sitting in for Rudy Bakhtiar. With just a few days left until the recall election, Arnold Schwarzenegger is doing a little damage control. Schwarzenegger is in the middle of a 4-day bus tour through the Golden State. The actor tried to ignore allegations swirling around him. On Thursday, he apologized after being accused of sexual misconduct by 6 women in a Los Angeles Times article. Now, even though he said he didn't remember some of the incidents, still several women came forward on Friday, more women actually, with new allegations that he groped or made inappropriate comments to them. Schwarzenegger's wife, Maria Shriver, is standing by her man. She spoke out on his behalf, saying it took courage for her husband to apologize, and she says nobody's perfect.
Thank you very much. I have met thousands and thousands of women who have come up to me and said they have worked with him, they have worked for him, alongside it, and he has been an extraordinary gentleman. This is he has been here for 35 years, and I would really dispute that. And I think his statement speaks for itself. And the longer, I'm not going to go down this road because I don't believe in gutter politics, and I don't believe in gutter journalism.
Representatives of some women's groups said they would call for a criminal investigation, although none of the accusers have filed charges.
California's lieutenant governor says the accusations shouldn't be taken lightly. Cruz Bustamante, who's also a Democratic gubernatorial candidate, says the sexual misbehavior charges are very serious and that Schwarzenegger better be glad none of the women were his daughters.
Had they been my daughters, there wouldn't have been this kind of delay on what took place. It wouldn't have taken a campaign to resolve this matter.
Although Bustamante is behind in the polls, he says he is positive he can still win.
A recent field poll done before the latest allegations shows Schwarzenegger had a 10-point lead over his closest challenger. Poll findings found 57% of voters wanted to recall Governor Gray Davis. 39% said they would vote no on that recall. 36% support Schwarzenegger compared to 26% for Lieutenant Governor Cruz Bustamante. And we should point out Schwarzenegger's support has risen nearly 10% since an earlier poll. Bustamante has dropped about 6%. Turning our attention now to Iraq, Republicans and Democrats alike are putting their spin on the new report from the U.S.'s senior weapons inspector. The interim report indicated no weapons of mass destruction have been found in Iraq. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says the report makes it clear there was never any imminent or major threat from Iraq. President Bush, meantime, says the report only backs up his decision to go to war. The president says the report shows Saddam Hussein was in violation of UN rules.
More than that, the man in charge of the hunt for WMD says some Iraqis paid a high price to help in the search. U.S. Weapons Chief David Kay detailed how at least 2 Iraqi scientists were shot, one fatally, for cooperating with U.S. search teams. He says the U.S. has since offered more protection to helpful Iraqis. Kay plans to file his final report in 6 to 9 months and still believes weapons of mass destruction may be found.
Polish troops on the ground in Iraq have made a find that might raise new questions about Europe's ties to Saddam Hussein's government. A Polish Defense Ministry spokesman in Warsaw says his troops found 4 anti-aircraft missiles believed to have been produced in Europe this year. The Roland missiles were found in central Iraq and were destroyed. Roland missiles are mobile, short-range surface-to-air missiles developed and produced jointly by French and German companies. A French embassy spokeswoman says she had no information on the discovery, but added France has never delivered missiles to Iraq since an arms embargo was imposed 13 years ago.
White House employees have until Tuesday to turn in all documents that might help the Justice Department investigating the leak of a CIA operative's name. Now, that includes all electronic records, correspondence, computer records, notes, and calendar entries. President Bush's legal counsel sent the deadline notice to workers after the Justice Department demanded the White House hand over all records that could be relevant to its investigation. The state and defense departments have also been told to hold on to any documents that may be significant. And NASA is setting a space shuttle launch date for September of 2004. The space agency had wanted to launch this coming spring, but it needed more time to develop systems for detecting and repairing damage while in orbit. The space shuttle fleet has been grounded since the Columbia disaster in February. It killed all 7 crew members. It was determined insulation debris damaged the shuttle's wing during takeoff, and the damage doomed Columbia when it attempted to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere.
A mega media merger is on hold for now because the companies just can't seem to see eye to eye. Vivendi Universal is working to iron out some last-minute wrinkles with executives at General Electric-owned NBC. Negotiations are stalled over tax and minority shareholder issues. The $40 billion merger would combine GE's TV and cable networks with Vivendi Universal's production facilities and theme parks. A deal could be ironed out, though, by next week. There may be some good news for frustrated job seekers. The job market is seeing a positive change. The Labor Department says companies added 57,000 new jobs last month, but it wasn't enough to lower the unemployment rate. That did stand steady at 6.1%. This is the first time in 8 months job growth has been reported. That news, of course, encouraging to analysts. It's also encouraging on Wall Street. Stocks reacted to the news about employment on Friday. The gains helped the market recover almost all of the ground lost since stocks began to slide last week. The Dow Jones Industrial is picking up another 84 points today on Friday to close at 95.72. The Nasdaq Composite was up another 44 points to finish out at 1880, while the S&P 500 closed up 9 points. A Lakers basketball star will be making an appearance in court, but a court of a different kind. How much will this affect the team? Details on that are just ahead in sports.
Well, it's a weekend. That means new offerings at the box office.
That's right. Get your popcorn, some Twizzlers, maybe a beverage. Brooke Anderson here now with a preview for us. Brooke?
Thank you, guys. Funny guy Jack Black has starred in the films Shallow Hal, High Fidelity, and now he's back on the big screen teaching kids about the 3 R's, not reading, writing, and arithmetic, rock and roll, and rebellion. And joining me now from Los Angeles to talk movies, E-Online columnist Anderson Jones. Anderson, always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you as well, Brooke.
Thank you. Now let's start it off with School of Rock. Jack Black, what do you think?
Absolutely. Jack Black, this is the movie that I think is going to make Jack's career. I think he's going to turn the corner of sort of that funny guy in the corner, you know, sort of the character actor into a real full-fledged comedy star. He's in pretty much every scene of this movie. He's phenomenal, and I'm not much of a kids fan. I don't really like kids at all, and I certainly don't like kids movies. But the cool thing about this movie is that the kids are not teaching Jack a lesson. You know, normally it's the grown-up who leaves with a big lesson. It's Jack who teaches them about rebellion and teaches them about classic rock, and the kids really are the stars. They come into their own in the movie, and the kids who play instruments are real musicians.
Yeah, that's right. They're musicians in their own right, so they pretty much held their own with Jack Black, who's also a musician, Tenacious D.
It's true, and they really do come to the board playing.
I had a lot of fun with this one. I really enjoyed it. Was grinning and laughing the entire time.
It is definitely a blast.
Okay, now moving on.